Hello, we're sitting in our patio in Alozaina and we have our dear friend Carolina Corada with us, and I'm going to put some questions to her. Carolina, can you talk to us a bit about the mechanics of forgiveness, how we forgive and how we do that?
Forgiveness is not an effort at all. Forgiveness is the natural quality of the mind that is receptive to love and to peace. You speak of the mechanics of forgiveness. Last week I got an email from a lady in the Almeria University, and she spoke of the technology of forgiveness. And I thought that was funny. The technology of forgiveness is simply opening your heart and being willing to be happy. When you don't forgive, when resentment has settled in your heart, it is like drinking, like I told you yesterday, drinking a little glass of poison and expecting the other one to die. This is resentment. Forgiveness is saying, I'm not going to drink this little poison. I'll just leave it by my side and feel at ease with my brother and know him truly. So in the practice of forgiveness, we simply surrender very humbly and honestly all our attack thoughts, all our unloving thoughts about myself and about the other. And honesty and humbleness are huge in the forgiveness technology. Because how can you forgive if you insist in being right about the other? If you insist that resentment is justified? If you insist in the idea that, look how you make me feel, it's because of you that I feel like this. This is so common in humanity, so common in our societies, until it will no longer be common. Until the common thought will be and is for some of us. I look at you, and if I don't see perfection in you, oh my, I need to go within very humbly and seek for the thought that said that you were guilty and discard this thought. So the technology of forgiveness is simply an alertness of your own thought system and the willingness to discard any thought that is not a loving thought, any thought that points out to you and sees you as not perfect. So we are training our minds to do this. The human mind is trained to see guilt inside and outside. The receptive mind, the mind receptive to love, is willing to see only love.
Carolina, in the Course in Miracles we hear a lot of the word atonement. Can you tell us what you understand by atonement?
Atonement is undoing an idea that you thought was right but was not. Atonement would be the undoing of the idea that you're a body. Atonement would be the undoing of the idea that you are not eternal. Atonement would be a synonym of salvation. The undoing of the error in the mind. Atonement, I'm not very familiar with the word in English because I haven't heard religious ideas in English. I've heard them in Spanish all my life. In Spanish it's expiación, which I think is a very religious word. Perhaps in English it's perceived as a very religious word too. I don't know how it's interpreted by the religious groups, but in my heart, atonement to me is I've had an idea that said I was a physical body, that I had a deadline, like yogurt, date, and it's done. And atonement simply undoes that idea in my mind. And by undoing it, it brings me back to the truth within and gives me my true date, which is no date, infinity. This would be atonement for me.
Carolina, could you say what you feel salvation means? What is salvation?
Salvation is the return to my memory, the memory of my true self. Salvation is being saved from all the illusions that I've had about myself, about my brothers, about the world. Salvation is being saved from the idea that attack is justified, defense is justified. Salvation is being saved from the idea that illness is true, that wrongdoing is true, that pleasure is true. I open my mind to salvation when I am willing to live in just one emotion, love, in just one experience, peace of mind. The ego mind wishes for diversity, for fragmentation, for replication. Salvation brings you to the oneness. Oneness. You wish only for one thing. You remember only one being. That's salvation. And it's just there. It's just here. It's now. It's for you and I. Join you. This is where salvation is.
Carolina, can you talk to us about real sight? What is real sight?
Real sight is the only sight there is. Real sight is what the Course calls the vision of Christ. Real sight is when you're able, and we are all able, it's just a question of willingness and release of judgment. As your mind becomes receptive to the release of judgment, the release of comparison, and you look upon the beings, the apparent separated beings. You look upon the world, the apparent physical form, and you can see the reflection of love on it all, because it's been deprived of your judgment. It's been deprived of your opinion of it. It's been deprived of comparison. Thus, what you see in all is the same in all. You no longer stop on the form. You no longer stop on the colors. And this is true for the beauty. Oh, those beautiful colors. And then there's those ugly colors. The true sight goes beyond that, transcends the form, the beauty and the ugliness. The true sight goes to the brilliance, can you say, the shininess behind that is variable. There is something to be seen in all that does not vary. You can see the same in every living creature. You can see the same on any surface of the world. The world becomes a mirror, a reflection of the light of God within you. So, true sight, I feel, in my experience, is being able to look upon you or look upon whatever and deprive that from my judgment, and something flourishes, flowers within me that is very pleasant, but doesn't vary, and it's the same for everything and everyone.